Well, hello again, race fans, for the final time of Season 16. It's race number 12 of 12, the finale for the International IndyCar League right here on VirtualRacing.Network. So great to have you with us here today from the famed Brickyard, the infamous track. There is none like it, where the stands are packed, as always, for the stars and the cars here. Dallara IR-18s heading out onto the track right now to get qualified for today's race. I'm Trevor Greenfield. Been with you since the end of Season 10, and we ain't stopping yet. We're going to keep going into Season 17. It's just around the corner, but we're going to finish off this season with a bang here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and we always look forward to returning here. Great racing, great action. Longer race, and of course it's the Care Camps 250, so we get a chance to talk about a fantastic organization operating out of Florida, and of course it's presented by Howard Livingston. So it's 2.5 mile circuit, won't qualify itself, so all these drivers heading down to their cars and heading out there. Let's go ahead and send it down trackside, and we'll see if we can catch up with the action. Find out where everyone is at in their qualifying efforts. I think everybody just on their very first lap here. So just getting going. And of course, we'll get 2 laps of qualifying here today, unlike Milwaukee, where they actually had 3 laps. Here's Ryan Bowles out there in a new livery. Probably, if that's not a real life livery, perhaps that's violating our paint policy. We'll have to look at that after the race, but Ryan Bowles trying to put down a fast lap, see if he can manage to snag pole position here today. Here's Dan Ensch making his way onto the track in the ALS.org machine, always trying to raise awareness to try to end Alzheimer's, of course. And he also sat on pole position for the last race at Milwaukee. Congratulations to him, although I have news about that, which will interest all of you Dan Ensch fans out there. Here's Howard Livingston making his way around the track for his very first qualifying lap. Howard in the carecamps.org machine, as always, bringing awareness to the carecamps.org group out of Florida and all the great things that they do for those who are, especially the young ones that are suffering from cancer and their loved ones who suffer alongside with them. So Howard getting in that second fastest qualifying effort thus far. Ryan Bowles sitting on pole position, finishing up his qualifying effort. Howard's going to be very happy to end up in second. Here's Will Stearns. Stearns putting in a good time, ending up third thus far. Let's go to Manuel Gomez Esteban, who's out there currently shown in fifth place at the moment. See whether Esteban can manage to get over the top of Dan Ensch. No, he cannot. And there we can see, goes on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride for a moment and destroys that beautiful Team Mazinger machine, unfortunately. Dominic Harte brings out the yellow submarine and looking for some magic juju in that car, which has seen its share of race podiums and victories, of course, in the real life league. It looks like Harte has a purple sector. Purple sector 1. Now David Strid puts his name at the top of the charts. We'll get to the points here in a minute, but Strid soon to be crowned the season 16 champion. Congratulations to him. It is official, and we weren't sure after we were getting off the air last week what the situation was, but it does appear as though it is official, and Strid just putting his stamp on things to make it even more official. He'll kind of weave a little bit coming down the home straight, sort of a victory lap here for Strid, as he doesn't even need to complete his second lap at speed. He'll probably be good enough for pole position there. Here's Jimmy Drennan. Very classic machine there. One of the old liveries of the past. bringing it out of retirement. I believe John Andretti, last one to run that, although I could be mistaken. But great to have Jimmy in the field. A great full field of drivers here. 16, 17, 18, 19 drivers set to potentially take the green flag here today. And that'll be great for today's action. So much drafting and passing to be done throughout. Drennan on that lap, but as you can see, time cuts off. And, you know, that's happened more than once to these drivers where they've gotten caught out and unfortunately had to settle for whatever time they had been able to post. So we'll go ahead and get the qualifying times up there, and you can see exactly how they will start for today's race. It's the Care Camps 250 or Care Camps Org 250 presented by Howard Livingston. And we are set for some high-speed action, 230 miles an hour, headed into turn one. You won't want to miss it. Coming up here very shortly on VirtualRacing.Network. David Strid taking that pole position. No surprise there whatsoever. Ryan Bowles taking second. And after podium last week, Bowles looking to see if he can do more here today. We'll watch for that. Howard Livingston going to be starting third. Second row here, just outside of him, will be Dominic Harte. Starting on the third row will be Will Stearns. And on the outside, you've got Dan Ensch. And now Dan is involved in a three-way battle for fifth place in the championship. We'll get to that in a little bit. And so he's racing for every point he can get. Graham Bunyan actually shown in the field here today. I'm not sure if he will take the start. He did qualify that machine, and so very interesting. We did not know that he would be racing here today. So Manuel Gomez Esteban going to be starting in 8th position. And starting 9th will be Robert Barnicow. Jason Lowe will be starting there in 10th place. And on the 6th row will be Jimmy Drennan alongside of Rick Lovison. David Worrell and Richard Kelbaugh. Mike West, they're shown in the black and red metallic machine there. And you might notice that some of these drivers, as we get through Iñigo Mardones for the Necki Racing team, Jasper Van Linden, Iñigo Mardones, and a debut from Angel Alcaniz Ponce. Great to have you in our field today, and good luck to you. Hopefully I did not just completely butcher your name. Apologize if I did. Make sure to let me know. Give me some sort of pronunciation guide. But it is a fantastic full field, and MJ Ramirez will start end of line due to the penalty that he received from the previous race. MJ, of course, now officially stepping up as the president of the International IndyCar League. So good for him. And then officially we will have Mike West, who is Mike. Yes, Mike is in the field. Mike hasn't missed many races, actually, but Mike West will be stepping up to the chief steward role as well following this season. So great news for different growth and different chances for different people to step up and take over some responsibility here. We look forward to a great future for the International IndyCar League. But David Strid has made his stamp on this league in season 16. He's been able to overcome adversity and really consistently finish races up at the front. And so far today, he's looking to finish with a bang and put that final stamp on season 16. He has taken pole position. Can he get the trifecta today, lead the most laps, and take the race victory? That is something to watch for. Either way, congratulations to him. He'll take us to the green flag. Barney the flagman waves over the field, and we are underway here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Side by side just behind it's Howard Livingston and Dominic Harte. They're battle it out for third spot. A little bit further back, it is Manuel Gomez-Esteban now getting by Jason Lowe. Actually, Lowe looking to get by Gomez-Esteban, rather, and not able to do it there into turn one. Up ahead, though, it is Howard Livingston able to defend, while Ryan Bowles now tries to work on David Strid. So things already hot and heavy. We do have Iñigo Mardones having an incident, however, so we're going to take a look at that in just a moment. But we don't want to cut away from this live action, as it's still pretty tight here up at the front between Strid and Bowles. As they exit turn two onto the backstretch, it's Strid and Bowles, and then we've got some movement a little bit further back. That's Robert Barnicow, but here comes Bowles to the front. Ryan Bowles now in the lead. Will he be able to hold it all the way down the backstretch? We are seeing some drivers swapping positions a little bit further back as well. This is the race going on just a little bit further back. Gomez-Esteban has given up the position to Jason Lowe. Lowe already on a tear of 3 positions here so far. We've got Will Stearns also with an incident. So I see Robert Barnicow also potentially damaged. He's in the pits. So Barnicow already with issues here, and that is sad news for himself and for Will Stearns. Iñigo Mardones, all these drivers have been up at the front at here at Indy and in other races, and so to lose those competitors so quickly is kind of a disaster. But Strid back in the lead, as you can see. He retook the position last lap, and that's what I have been expecting, is we're going to see a lot of swapping of draft, but also potentially nowhere to really run and hide from this draft. So will it be Bowles and Strid who will work together, or will they try to work against each other and allow the rest of this field to come together? That is a good question. Why don't we go ahead and take a look back at this moment. We'll take a look at the Iñigo Mardones incident there. He's just into the wall. It looks like he almost made contact with Manuel Gomez-Esteban headed through the corner, but he didn't. He was just high on the track and unfortunately up into that wall. Here is the Will Stearns incident. Make sure that we get on the right one here. There we go. Stearns already into that wall, but what happened is the question. It looks like a self-spin. Just kind of gets a little too high. Tires not quite cooperating at that point. Some drivers having to take very evasive action. So we jump back to the live picture, and it is still David Strid who's up in front. Ryan Bowles in second. Howard Livingston in third. Dominic Harte in fourth, and Dan Ensch rounding out the top 5. So welcome to those of you watching us over on YouTube. Great to have you with us. Iñigo Mardones saying hello, Trevor. Yes, great to have you. And Dominic Harte checking in saying have a great last race of the season all. Congratulations to David Strid on the championship. So of course Harte there racing in fourth, letting everyone know ahead of time. Just appreciative and grateful to be in this league where there's so much camaraderie and gentleman racing. And then taking a look here, Yabarillo saying good luck to all Team Mazinger drivers here. Go Manuel Gomez-Esteban. Go Angel Alcaniz. So, and then he says also, I did pronounce his name correctly. So, all right. That first and second year Spanish in high school really paying off here today. But thank you so much, Yabarillo, for checking in and letting us know. Can't wait to run, can't run with my 1050 Ti Gerd, need more frames per second, says Iñigo. Yes, I know. It's the good old 1080s and 1050s. They made it for so long, but iRacing puts these high-res tracks out there, and next thing you know, they're crippling under the load. So we're running a 2060 Super here at the VirtualRacing.Network headquarters, and I mean, there's a lot of times where it just don't want to keep up, and so we've had to work around that in a number of capacities. Certainly when I race triple screen, which for those of you keeping track, it's been a long time since I've actually been out on the track. But when I do triple screen, I mean, this card, the 2060, barely keeps up on iRacing. Nevertheless, we continue on, and as we do this 4K broadcasting live for the International IndyCar League, and we've done other leagues and one-off races in the past. It's going to be time to start upgrading at some point in the future and thinking about how we can continue to make the picture look better and better going forward. So taking a look through the field, Howard Livingston holding on to third. Of course, Howard in that carecamps.org machine. For those of you who haven't been to the carecamps.org website, you should definitely check it out. A lot of great information about their organization and just all of the different events and different great things that they're doing to work with the kids that are suffering and are surviving cancer. Here's a pass that's happening a little bit further back. This is Manuel Gomez-Esteban. Now slipping back a couple of positions. That's Jimmy Drennan in that beautiful blue and red machine. Very iconic from the past. As I mentioned, John Andretti. Of course, who can forget infamous Richard Petty driving that machine. Let's check in on another driver that we haven't gotten much chance to talk about. This guy right here, Graham Bunyan, checking in here before the end of the season. And that is great news to all the Graham Bunyan fans who, in fact, did pay to see Graham in the car. And they are buying the tickets because Graham is a legend, certainly in the International IndyCar League, having taken 5 consecutive championships. And most likely the only reason why he won't get this 6th one is because he needed to take a sabbatical for a couple of weeks and sort out some different health issues, and he's fought through so much this season, really. Everything from internet issues. I don't think this is the season where flooding in his hometown was one of the bigger issues, but you know, everything from the internet to getting his sim rig set up, which just getting the parts in the mail has been almost impossible to get the right ones delivered, and things finally starting to settle down. Also having surgery and having to recover from that. We're looking a little bit further back. This is Jesper Van Linden getting around Mr. Stickwick, Richard Kelbaugh. So Van Linden now up into that 13th position. And just up ahead there, that is Mike West doing battle at the moment with Manuel Gomez-Esteban, who's still on the right rear. And there he starts to tuck back in. So Mike West now pulling off that position, and that does push Gomez-Esteban now down 4 positions from where he qualified. But let's take a look up at the Pink Pig / Kirby. It's Jason Lowe, and he's up 5 positions. You see a little bit further back, though. This is Dan Ensch in that purple, white, and black machine for Last Lap Motorsports and alls.org. He's actually racing on the inside of Will Stearns, who is back out there on the track. Unfortunately, Stearns involved in a self-caused incident earlier, and wow, Ensch getting really close to the wall there after battling with Stearns for a couple of laps. So Stearns kind of just out there putting in the laps now. He's actually only lost 2 laps, Stearns has, so theoretically he can still kind of get back in this race, and he is fighting to do exactly that. Here we see another battle happening. This is Jimmy Drennan working on David Worrell. Worrell also in a new looking livery. See if we can get a tighter camera angle on that. Quite a lot going on with that livery. Not exactly sure everything that's on that car. Oh, I think he's got Nitro Circus and something else going on there. Very cool. But quite a lot of fun that these drivers have putting together their custom liveries, and we did decide that we were going to relax our rules regarding that, because, well, officially iRacing says you can't do a lot of stuff, and YouTube says you can't do some certain stuff, and, you know, we're just kind of like saying, if you have permission to do it, then do it. And otherwise, if it's already been a pre-approved paint job by some other marketing association and it's already been used in motorsport, well, then we say that's probably okay too. And so just don't get yourself in trouble with iRacing, and don't do anything that would get us banned as a channel, and basically we'll let you run whatever you want until we have a problem. So just part of, you know, want to give everybody the freedom to have some fun out here and not have to clamp down too hard on things that are outside of our own control. Ryan Bowles hanging on to second. David Strid up in front. Nothing's changed there. They're hanging nose to tail. Just behind Howard Livingston. He's doing his best to hang on to third. He's had Dominic Harte right up behind him for quite a few laps. So Harte, as you heard, he checked in a little bit earlier, and he's having a pretty good race. Now, if you remember, it was just a couple of seasons ago that Harte made his debut here in the International IndyCar League, and what a debut it was. It was at this very track, the end of the season, and Harte came out and won the race on debut, something that is really amazing, and that most drivers never get a chance to execute. But Harte in the right place at the right time that day, and since then he has shown that he is fast every week, basically up there in the front at various times, able to snatch a pole position or get up there in position to get a podium. But I think everybody knows that Harte has what it takes to run right up there at the front and take podiums or possibly wins every week. It's just been trying to find that consistency, and I mean, I guess you could say that about any driver in the league. Howard Livingston, though, has been consistent, and I would say that even with Graham Bunyan's real rise in this league and consistency from him and David Strid, you really, and also Jason Lowe, to be honest with you, really picking up pace, holding with Graham Bunyan and David Strid and the likes. And Ryan Bowles, we can't forget him now, showing week in and week out that he's doing well. So the cream continues to rise, but Howard Livingston rising with it, you know, not being left behind in the dust, despite him also having an injury this season, actually going back into last season, breaking his foot and having to sit out a good number of races. And so back in the cockpit and shaking off that rust, it seems like he never lost anything. Okay, so we've got our first official pit stop here, and that follows with what the notes were that we had from Dan Ensch. It was looked like about 20 to 22 laps. He felt, Dan Ensch, of course, kind of our information about how the set is handling. And definitely 20 to 22 laps. Great setup, even in traffic. Can't run away and hide, but strong passing draft. 2 good grooves in corners. Should be a lot of fun. And also, he let me know, Dan did, as we see that Jason Lowe now in the pits. Manuel Gomez Esteban. MJ Ramirez sitting in his pit box in his new International IndyCar League livery. Great to see that out there. And Angel Alcañez Ponce. I'll get it. Also in the pits, Dan Ensch making his pit stop. Jimmy Drennan and Rick Lovison now on pit road as well, getting their first stops done. But Dan letting me know he actually got a brand new wheel set upgrade. And I don't think he says exactly which one it is, so we'll have to ask him. But he says basically he was just unfamiliar with where everything was on his steering wheel. So he managed to get out there and get the qualifying pole position for the Milwaukee race last week. However, was not able to convert it into anything else after quite a few laps because he was using the button that he thought was the pit limiter, and it was doing other stuff to the car. So he still needed to work some stuff out. Hopefully he got it all sorted out for this week. Now you see Howard Livingston in the pits, David Worrell in the pits, Mike West getting his stop done, and Jasper Van Linden getting his stop done as well. David Strid, the first of those who have pitted, and he will now climb up past those who are still in the pits. So Ryan Bowles actually shown a little over 2 seconds ahead, so we're going to see these two coming back together here. There's Bowles up ahead, so Bowles, with that exchange, really getting one over, and he's managed to pull a little bit of a gap, over a second gap, so using the pit to his advantage, and Ryan Bowles doing a great job on pit road, able to get a little bit of distance from David Strid. Now also Jason Lowe looks like he's picked up as we see Graham Bunyan, Dominic Harte just exiting the pits here, starting to fall back down through the order. But Lowe also picking up positions, and here he comes on the outside of Graham Bunyan and Howard Livingston. This is an interesting exchange. This is for position right here. Graham Bunyan and Howard Livingston racing for that 5th position. And now side by side, Dominic Harte and Howard Livingston. Harte manages to move through that, and that puts Jason Lowe up into 3rd. So you talk about your hard chargers today. 7 positions won by Jason Lowe, who now sets his sights 3.20 seconds ahead at David Strid, and that is coming down kind of quickly. Although David Strid last lap 40.30, fastest lap of the race thus far. So we'll see if that can continue. But Jason Lowe now at the front of this group and looks to perhaps be able to claw his way up to the front. Here, speaking of the front, this is Ryan Bowles, who took over first place from David Strid not that long ago, and then Strid retook it, and then through that pit stop exchange was able to claim first again, and Strid now happy to run in second. Perhaps he'll try to save a little bit of fuel, or perhaps he'll just stick his nose in there and decide to take that position back. You know, it all comes down to what you want to do with the tires and with the car, and Strid seems to know what he wants to do with the tires and the car pretty much every time he's in that machine. He pretty much likes to get up there and lead the race, and that has its advantages, as you see Bowles now sneak past. And to be honest with you, I don't know if these two are just draft swapping or if they're fighting each other and trying to own the front of this. It kind of looks like it's a little bit more casual than that, but not 100% sure. But still, Strid, is he going to try to take the position? He is, heading into turn 3, and it almost seems the way that Bowles runs up the track and then dives back down, that these two are just working together to do what is called draft swapping. And that is when you try to use the draft to your advantage and make a pass into the corner, which gains you overall speed entering the corner, and basically allows both drivers to have a faster lap time and somewhat pull out a gap. Now, is it working? Well, not so well. It's kind of staying about the same from where it was, as Jason Lowe now about 3 seconds back. So we'll have to watch and see how this gap continues here, but so far, Lowe in 3rd, Dominic Harte in 4th, Howard Livingston in that carecamps.org machine in 5th, and we are just rapidly approaching a third of the way through this Care Camps 250. So There you can see Harte managed to get in front of Lowe. And I wonder if these two, I mean, I doubt they're draft swapping, but that may be a good idea. And we'll have to see whether or not that is, in fact, what they're trying to do. You don't necessarily have to be teammates in order to coordinate draft swapping. You just kind of have to be aware and be, you know, looking at the fact that perhaps your fellow driver wants to work with you. Now, they can send you private message. You could quickly reach up there to your keyboard and send a private message to your chosen draft swapping partner and say, hey, let's work together. That's always an opportunity. And certainly you could just come right over the in-car speech communication system that iRacing has built in and just say, hey, you want to work together and try and see if we can get up to the front? By doing so, they have now clawed back 0.4 of a second on Ryan Bowles. So whatever they're doing, whether it's intentional or not, is seeming to work and close that gap. And we're going to keep watching for that. You can see these two pairs working together. Now it's kind of looking like three pairs. We go back here. There's Jason Lowe now poking his nose back in front of Harte. And just behind Howard Livingston in that Care Camps machine. Every time he goes by, the section in the grandstands with all the Care Camps kids and the families and everything, they all do the wave. It's really a cool thing. I love to see that, really supporting their driver out there and trying to get that message out about the Care Camps. Awesome, awesome stuff. And of course, totally sold out crowd here. Got to thank all those virtual fans paying the money that they did. All that money will, of course, go to funding a cup of coffee for at least myself. And we do appreciate that, totally. And in fact, I don't mean to make a joke of it. Actually, speaking of a joke of it, oh no, Jason Lowe in the wall a little bit. I don't know how much damage has been done to that machine, but he just got a little wide trying to swap with Dominic Harte, and we'll see whether or not he begins to fall off, because potentially that was a little too much damage. So we'll watch and see whether he can hold with Harte or whether he falls off here. But yeah, I did want to say there is an actual charge for us to do all of this stuff, which could just be a volunteer effort, but it isn't, sadly. Does require funding to pay for example, the gigabit internet, which is a bit expensive for us to be able to do 4K broadcasting, and multiple subscriptions, including iRacing and the SDK service that runs our overlays, as well as continual maintenance and upgrades on our computer to be able to try to bring you better and better quality, as well as my time and technically the time of others as well. But all of that goes into the broadcast fund that gets paid during the season. And for example, today's race being brought to you by Howard Livingston and the carecamps.org group. And so, you know, Howard putting his money where his racing mouth is, not only supporting the kids by getting that awareness message out there, but supporting the broadcast and contributing to the broadcast fund. So if you're out there and you're listening and you appreciate what we're doing, you can make a contribution to VirtualRacing.Network to keep our sponsorship and our broadcast going. We can certainly feature you as part of one of the race sponsors out here on the track in conjunction with the International IndyCar League, and we would love to have you on board. There's all kinds of fun stuff that we can do during the race, after the race, pre-race, and brand it to make it a good message for you. And you can certainly invite your employees, your friends, your family, everybody to watch along and enjoy the race virtually, as it's just a really cool thing that we do out here. It's not only a great league with some great competitors, But even more than that, it's... I say as my things change around me, but even more than that, this league has been around for so many seasons and developed such great camaraderie amongst its regular participants, and always has an open door to new talents that want to come along and challenge the best that have been out there thus far. So it's a great league, and looks to be set for season 17. But here we are, the end of season 16, and David Stryd trying to put the final stamp on his season and his championship that he will be crowned here at the end of this race. So just now about 62 laps remaining until he'll receive his trophy with his likeness carved into it. It's really a special thing. Oh, no, I guess that's the Indy 500. Well, actually, that would be this race and the championship. So isn't that cool? You get both trophies. Of course, virtual trophies, which is something that we would like to change going forward. And I would love to see if there was a chance to have some more sponsorship and some more contributions for us to be able to put together perhaps a little trophy or something like that for the series champion. I think that would be well appreciated. So once again, just more reason to get involved. If you're out there, you want to sponsor a race, you want to sponsor, if you happen to know any trophy makers, you happen to have an idea for a trophy you can contribute, any of that type of participation will be more than welcome. And in the meantime, back to the race at hand. Dominic Harte did manage to hold on to that third position so far, and Jason Lowe has not fallen too far back, so perhaps not too much damage to Jason's machine. Howard and Graham hanging on for 5th and 6th. Howard's lost a couple of spots from where he qualified, but still hanging on to a top 5. We'll see whether he can improve that as the race goes on. Dan Ensch now running with Jimmy Drennan just in tow. That's for 7th and 8th position. You see that Jasper Van Linden is in the pits. We'll drop down the order, and also Richard Kelbaugh in the pits at the moment. So here we're watching on screen David Worrell. Kind of got it with that pinkish color. It kind of first makes me think, like, from this angle that it's another Necky Racing Team car, but it's not. It's David Worrell in his new machine, Dave in the Cave, as he is known. So here's David Stryd, though, in the pits, and Jason Lowe tucks in just behind. So that's 41 laps now done for these two. And I have to see if we can get a nice tight shot here on Lowe and see whether or not he gets that nose replaced, that wing, that front wing replaced. But it does not look like it's being replaced, and neither is the rear wing. So I guess all is good, and he continues, perhaps with a tiny repair. And you hear that big bump as they leave the pits. It's always quite interesting and can catch you off guard if you're not paying attention. Mauro MJ Ramirez in the pits, getting his service done. Dan Ensch, Jimmy Drennan now in the pits as well. Manuel Gomez Esteban also receiving service in the number 99 Team Mazinger car. And Angel Alcañiz Ponce in the other Team Mazinger car. It's great to have two Team Mazinger drivers out here this week. We'll make sure to get your information updated in our system and get you the information that or get you the team awareness that you deserve. So, but back out in front, it is Ryan Bowles, who's got a 2.7 second lead on Dominic Harte, because of course he has not yet pitted. So once he can, then we will see him rejoin with David Stryd. So there he is into the pits, and we'll watch him take on service. And it's got to feel good for Ryan Bowles. I mean, like I said, he's certainly had to put in his time and really recover and get back up into the front. There were some races where he ended up in other people's accidents, and it's been a roller coaster for Ryan Bowles, to be honest with you, being caught into others' incidents. And here's Howard Livingston barely making it down to the speed limit, entering the pits. So he'll take on service. And here, Mike West, fellow Washingtonian from over the Cascades, over in Yakima. But that will actually put Graham Bunyan into the lead. So Bunyan has got to be happy about that. First race back in the cockpit, and even if it's just in between pit stops, already showing that he can be there in the lead. So Dan Ensch currently shown a lap down there in 8th. He's the first car a lap down. Jimmy Drennan just behind. So as soon as Graham Bunyan does pit, then they will be shown back up one lap and on the lead lap once again. David Worrell now makes his pit stop. So Worrell, there we get a nice look at the machine, and he's got some original character, it looks like, in anime on the side of that machine. Pretty cool stuff. Not sure if we have a camera that will show it better. There we go. Radio Bacho. I'm sure I should know that. But so cool to get some different artwork and some fun going on for Dave Worrell, and hopefully that brings him a little bit of good luck out there today. But so much fun being had here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's the season finale. We even got the grand champion out there on the track as well. Graham Bunyan making his way around, just coming out of the pits. So Ryan Bowles does take over that lead once again. Here we watch Graham Bunyan, where he will slot back in amongst these drivers. See, I believe that's Robert Barnicow still in the race there. But, oh, side by side, and Howard Livingston and Graham Bunyan make contact. Oh my goodness me. Bunyan sideways on the track. Is that going to bring out the caution? It does, and Jimmy Drennan has to take evasive action, and that puts him into the wall as well. So calamity striking here on lap number 48. My goodness. Well, so let's step back. This is Howard Livingston passing Graham Bunyan here for position. And Graham, I think Howard just kind of drifted up the track, and Graham didn't really have anywhere to go. Well, Graham started to come back down, but again, just to hold on the track, I don't think he really had anywhere to go. Let's see if we go and take a look at the chopper view, what we've got here. So this is Howard. Howard dives to the inside, and now we watch where the racing groove is, and Howard comes up a little bit. Graham tries to stay on the outer edge of that racing groove. He can't take too evasive of action and go too high up, because he will just automatically crash through the corner. So unfortunately, that does really mess up some drivers' race. You see, it looks like Graham able to continue though, and he will be able to get in and get that car serviced. So, this is just part of the reason why Graham is the champ, and you'll watch all these drivers come in and do their pit stop. Of course, that will allow us to not only pay some bills, but tell you a little bit more about the Care Camps organization. So stay tuned while we stay side by side. You don't miss a thing.
I was diagnosed with ALL leukemia.
I was diagnosed with lymphoma Hodgkin's disease, rhabdomyosarcoma.
I had Burkitt's lymphoma.
I was diagnosed at age 3 with leukemia.
It was hard because I did lose all my hair.
During my chemo, I had a tumor in my shoulder, so we had to take out my shoulder blade.
I was on chemo for 3 or 4 years.
In the hospital for about 4 years.
I relapsed when I was 6.
I've actually had cancer twice.
Of course, you would never think that you're going to be the one to have cancer.
Teens who come here don't have to explain why they look different, why they sound different. They don't have to explain why they don't have hair or an arm. They just can come here and be themselves.
You know, a lot of times when they lose their hair or when they're not feeling well, like they just feel really alone. And so to be able to come to a camp where everybody, no matter what age you are, has gone through the same thing or is going through the same thing is amazing for them.
They've been through a tremendous ordeal, and after a week of not thinking about that, not thinking about their next blood draw, not thinking about their next challenge, but just focusing on the moment and being in such a special place and surrounded by beauty, I think it does give them an opportunity to recharge their batteries.
Having it be the biggest event that these kids will ever experience, is just a massive, massive gift that we can give them.
The consistent and generous support that we have received from care camps is extremely important in allowing us to make this a cost-free experience for so many people whose lives have been affected by cancer.
We're able to bring all these wonderful kids to camp because of donations.
So kind of difficult to talk about those suffering with cancer and how difficult it is kind of not really getting to celebrate the same sorts of activities as, you know, many kids do get to celebrate, and being forced to deal with their condition. And care camps changes that, of course, as you saw there in the video, and that's just a wonderful, wonderful thing that care camps is able to do for so many children who are suffering, and so many who, of course, their families, their loved ones suffer alongside of them. So what care camps, of course, does is allow them to play and have fun and go to have that camp experience. And so just as we get set to go here, we are grateful for Howard Livingston, who brings that wonderful awareness of the care camps organization. And of course, we'll get a chance to talk with Howard Livingston at the end of this race and find out a little bit more about what he's up to, as well as care camps. So carecamps.org, make your donation today straight to the care camps organization, and you will be supporting kids and their camps and their loved ones for the future. Back to the race, though, it is David Strid who's currently in the lead as SDK decides it wants to go away. So we've lost our overlay momentarily, but we'll try to get it back. And in the meantime, it is David Strid who's in front of Jason Lowe. And Dominic Harte in third, Howard Livingston in fourth, Dan Ensch in fifth, Rick Lovison in sixth, Jimmy Drennan in seventh, Mauro Ramirez in eighth, David Worrell in ninth, and Ryan Bowles makes your top 10. There we have another driver. I think it was Barnicow. Barnicow a lap down, having an issue there, a couple laps down, having an issue, and now pulling it down onto pit lane. Haven't had much of a chance to talk about Barnicow this race, but wasn't that long ago. He was running up in the top 5 previously, so definitely a skilled driver that we do look forward to seeing more of from him. But back up at the front, it's Strid and Lowe. Well, we'll show the points here in a little bit, but this is basically how they're running in the championship right now. It's Strid who's taken the crown by quite a few points over Jason Lowe. And I don't think that, I mean, Lowe came on the air after the race last week and said that he thought he had a mathematical chance to take the championship back, but I guess he's not in mathematical position to do it, and certainly even if he was, he would need Strid to more or less finish last, and he would need to win the race. But either way, Lowe obviously not going to settle for second on the track, and he's going to try to find a way by David Strid at some point here, looking very competitive, so not doing too much damage to that vehicle earlier, and that's a good thing. Of course, as I mentioned, everybody out there racing for awareness of the Care Camps organization, and such a great cause to be out there racing for and to try to bring awareness to. Jason Lowe, of course, with Rescue Ranch always on his mind, and we did talk about that earlier this season. Lowe, big into rescuing animals, and certainly a certain cat named Jeep. Used to be a kitten, now he's full-on cat. And we have a yellow. David Worrell is having issues, although he appears to have vacated the vehicle already. So let's go ahead and see if we can try to determine what happened there. It looks like he's already potentially in the wall. So roll it forward and we'll see if we can get to the chopper view. So here he is sort of drifting off the racing line, coming through the corner. I do wonder, maybe he had a little bit of that dirty air coming off the car in front that just pushed him up into the wall a little bit, and that beautiful paint job that was once worth millions, now sadly many of those pieces going to end up in a dumpster somewhere around 16th and Georgetown. So those of you who are collectors, hey, check the dumpsters, because that's where the goodies are. And just good luck getting David Worrell to sign that one, because he may not be too happy with where it ended up. But I think Worrell done for the day, out of the cockpit, and perhaps disconnected. So that's going to give us a chance to actually get those points up there on the screen. You can see where things are actually at here. And there you can kind of check it out. David Strid going to take that championship, no problem, over Jason Lowe in second place. Dominic Harte, he's gained 2 spots in the championship. So, I mean, they're running 1, 2, 3 right now. I thought that's the way that it was. But that's very interesting. You don't always see that, where the championship order is reflected by the race running order. MJ Ramirez, Mike West choosing to stay out, so they will cycle around and become our de facto leaders. Howard Livingston sliding through the box there. I don't know if, did he actually get stopped? I don't know. And then he makes contact with the wall. I think yes, there, finally he gets that car up on jacks. So now back underway. Hopefully he didn't do too much damage to that rear wing. These cars are like, sometimes they're like tanks. I mean, I'm not even kidding. Like, sometimes you hit a wall, it's like, oh, it didn't do anything, cool. But then other times you just barely tap a wall and the wing comes off. I just remember racing Skip Barber, and that car was just the worst. As soon as you would get tapped from rear wing or something, it would just go falling off. So not that downforce really mattered in those cars so much, but you could definitely notice a difference in how well it steered. Now, back to the points, though, the important thing is here, looking at that, is that battle that's going on there from 4th back to, let's see, 4th and 5th, which is Graham Bunyan and Dan Ensch, as well as Dominic Harte. So I take it back, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, all within 5 points of each other. So really anybody's race here today, and depends on how the drop week falls, but basically if they were just racing out there for points today, you've got Harte, Ensch, and Bunyan pretty close together. So that'll be an interesting one to continue to watch here. Then you take a look a little bit further back, and it's MJ Ramirez, Rick Lovison, Manuel Gomez Esteban, Iñigo Mardones, and Mike West, even Ryan Bowles, all those drivers technically with a shot at 6th place. I mean, all the way back to 11th. So very, very close in the championship hunt right now for those drivers. And I mean, it's pretty amazing to think that if you have like a really good performance here today and your fellow racers do not, you can go all the way from like 10th to 5th. That's kind of crazy to think about at the end of the season, but that's how tight of a battle it has been here in the International IndyCar League. A lot of drivers you know, kind of consistently getting finishes in sort of in the middle of the pack, and always trying to go for that top 5, and as a result, a lot of them fighting it out there. But that battle raging on for 3rd place. We'll keep watching for that. Harte, Ensch, and Bunyan. And with Bunyan's pit stop, he does still stay on that lead lap. So currently 11 cars on the lead lap at the moment, and the lights are off on the pace car. So this time by, we're just going through turn 3, about to go through turn 4, and then we'll see that pace car pull off. And Strid, there's a look out the back door of Strid. And he waits and waits and waits. Barney the flag man waving that green flag. There we go, back underway here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. David Strid leads them all into turn 1 once again on lap number 59. So once again, you're watching the Care Camps 250 on VirtualRacing.Network. It's the International IndyCar League's round number 12. It's the finale. David Strid is your leader. He is already the champion in waiting, just has to finish this race to make it official. But Jason Lowe racing in 2nd place. He also is pretty much guaranteed 2nd in the championship. Nevertheless, you know that Lowe would love to steal this win here at the end of the season. It's been a difficult one. It's been one with promise, where he led the championship for some time. Thought he might have a chance at it, but Strid has just been on a tear, and Jason's kind of been trying to play catch up for a lot of the weeks. But you know, I'll be honest with you, a lot of times, sometimes it just feels good to be able to run 2nd. You know, I mean, just to know that you're competitive and that you're up there, you're running 2nd to somebody who's very talented. And honestly, David Strid spends a lot of time practicing. He develops the setups for the league, this being a fixed setup league. So Strid puts in the time here at Indianapolis, and as we see a little bit further back, this is quite a battle happening here as Graham Bunyan and Howard Livingston working their way up through this gaggle of cars. My goodness. It's like Livingston really having to slice and dice, but falling behind that Graham Bunyan vehicle, it's easy to do. Bunyan, of course, 5-time consecutive champion, and quite the victor at that, taking so many victories, many victories already this season. I'll try to get you a number here, but it's been a lot. And of course, as I mentioned, he took a couple of weeks off. He might have taken his 6th consecutive championship here had it not been for that. But this season, I'm not sure that the win total in those points got updated, unfortunately. I don't know exactly what happened there, but set to auto import some of this data, and I don't know that it quite got imported correctly. We'll have to pull up that information a little separately, but Bunyan taking multiple victories here in season 16, and I think he'll be back next season. We're still waiting to really sort of figure it out and see if he feels that he's recovered enough and he wants to get back in the cockpit for the full season. But of course, whether he does a partial season, he does the whole season, we'd just love to have the driver with the caliber of Graham Bunyan out there on the track and racing with the International IndyCar League. And also, on that same note, if you're thinking about, you're an iRacer and you love to race these Indy cars, you want to get out here, get on broadcast, hey, links down in the description. You won't be talking to Jason Lowe. You'll be talking to MJ Ramirez. So we'll get that updated in our system. But, yeah, he'll bring you out and have a chance on Saturday to drive the car, show that you know what you're doing, and then some basic qualifications. You'll be out here on Sunday. So it can happen as early as 2 weeks from now. Just set your clocks and be out there, and should be a lot of fun. Start this season off with a bang. So Jason Lowe currently running in 2nd place, Dominic Harte in 3rd. As I mentioned, Graham Bunyan and his victories, but I'm only seeing that he has 1 win this season. It seemed to me like maybe he had more. Unfortunately, I think I'm just thinking of a previous season. It seems like he should have had more. But Strid, in fact, taking 5 victories this season. So if Strid could add this one to his total, that would be in even half of the races that he will have won this season. And that's pretty tootin' good, if I do say so myself. However, he has his hands full, as you can see. What is going on back here? I see some weaving. Jimmy Drennan kind of weaving around back there. A couple of drivers looking for some space. So this now, MJ Ramirez to the inside of Drennan. Drennan getting very high on the track. I think Drennan possibly with some damage. And not really sure where that damage could have come from, or perhaps he's just looking to get in for that pit stop. But he will make his way down into the pits here, and I don't, like I said, I don't really see any damage on that vehicle. So we'll just have to assume that he was trying to sort it out and get into the pits. Either way, he does. Angel Alcañiz Ponce also into the pits for Team Mazinger, pitting out of 15th position. And David Strid continuing on with Jason Lowe, Dominic Harte just behind. Now Dan Ensch up into that 4th spot, so this is totally legitimate. He's coming on strong, and he's got that new wheel in hand. Hopefully he doesn't accidentally push the pit speed limiter trying to change the weight jacker or something crazy like that. I can just tell you, I've got a steering wheel, the open wheeler Thrustmaster, and it's a cool wheel. It's got a lot of buttons. Sometimes I do accidentally push the wrong button. So I can just imagine that whatever new wheel Dan has, it's got an equally confusing array of doodads and switches and dials and gauges and all the rest. Of course, in the real-life IndyCar, as you see there, Cosworth supplying the overall electronics that go into the steering wheel. And now we potentially have a pass here. Are we looking at a pass? No, where everybody's just sort of getting around that lapped car there, which I believe is... nope, it's going to be Angel. So there's Angel in 15th place, getting past here at the Brickyard, and obviously not how he would like to debut today's race, but still putting in good laps and enjoying himself out there. And, you know, feel free to check in if you're watching this over on YouTube. Of course, you can subscribe. Just smash that big subscribe button. It used to be red. I don't know why they took that away. It was, you could just say hit the big red button, but now it's not anymore. So make sure you smash that subscribe button. And welcome to all of you that were watching Formula One. Seeing a lot of you joining us right now, getting some live viewers. So welcome to the International IndyCar League. We're on lap number 71. This is David Strid, who's out in the lead at the moment, with Jason Lowe right behind, Dominic Harte in third, and Dan Ensch in fourth. We're potentially looking at four-way battle for the win here today. Still got about 29 laps remaining for these drivers. And what fun it is here, the final race of the season, the Care Camps 250. To have such a close race up at the front. As you may be aware, or perhaps you're not, depending on how close you follow the IndyCar League, or the real-life IndyCar series, sometimes, you know, this aero package is not the best for passing, and certainly that's kind of been the case in the league itself, where these drivers really have to work to try to make these passes and get them done. It's just, there just isn't quite the drafting slipstream enough that it allows them to make sufficient passes headed down the straightaway. And because these cars are all spec cars with the same chassis, basically, and a little bit of difference in the engines, but as far as iRacing goes, they're exactly the same engines, despite what it may say on the cowling. Well, these drivers, they really have to work at it to make these passes. And so, you know, sometimes the way that it works out, cars get too spread out, and then you end up with sort of single file running, which, although we appreciate that and the skill that it's required, it doesn't make for such a great broadcast. So it's always great. We're about 3/4 the way through the race, and see these drivers up there challenging each other for the race victory. So we'll see if that can hold on today. In the meantime, we have highlighted Jason Lowe there, and he has gained 8 spots here today. Fantastic job by him. We're going to take a little further back look. Here's a driver who's having an excellent day, running in 5th place. We don't usually get to talk about him that much running up in the front, but Rick Lovison, actually out of Berkshire Lakeside Lodge, and he sent me a full res photo of the lake the other day, and it is just as picturesque as it looks on the side pod there. I just can't wait. Would love to head on out there someday, and believe me, if it happens, I will be sure to let you know here on broadcast. But that whole New England area, just a gorgeous place to visit one day, and who knows, maybe you could live there someday just like Rick. Find a nice idyllic area to participate in and be a part of. Either way, it inspires such imagination just looking at that side pod on Rick's machine. However, he does have Graham Bunyan to contend with as they work around that lap car, the Team Mazinger machine. And Bunyan, after recovering from that earlier crash with Howard Livingston, currently running in 6th position. So there we look a little bit further back. That is, of course, Howard Livingston, who is the presenting sponsor of today's race. Or I should say the presenter of today's race, the today's race sponsor being carecamps.org. Howard currently running in 7th position, and he's lost 4 spots from where he started, but considering got tangled in a wreck, it's probably not such a bad thing. Howard trying to hang on and see if he can snag a top 5 out of today's race. Here's Mike West running in 8th position. He's gained 7 spots today, so he's kept it clean. The future steward of the International IndyCar League. West really looking to continue a good run of races here. He's shown a lot more consistency this season, a lot more overall speed and pace, and certainly looking to continue that into season 17, as well as his additional responsibilities that he's now taking on. MJ Ramirez, he has a new livery, started end of line today due to a penalty that he had to serve, but with 23 laps to go, he's gained 7 spots and he's currently up in 9th. Now taking a look on Mike West, and I kind of thought I heard West possibly getting into the wall there. That would explain why he has just drifted back. So West definitely sliding back quickly, and that is no good. Now David Strid manages to pull it down onto pit lane. Rick Lovison also pitting out of 5th. So with 22 laps to go, does look like, well, I'm sure Rick and David know what they're doing, but it does seem as though they're going to have to stretch an extra lap on the end of this race. So I don't know if they're going to be able to do that, but that's why we wait and see. It's actually been a surprisingly caution-free race today, which we're all thankful for, because who really wants to sit around and watch caution laps? But at the same time, it really doesn't give anybody a chance to catch their breath. And you're just out there racing for pretty much 100 straight laps. So Jason Lowe now taking over the lead. Dominic Harte in 2nd. And Dan Ensch there in 3rd. Graham Bunyan in 4th. Howard Livingston in 5th. But of course, with Strid and Lovison pulling into the pits, that will, as you can see now, Lowe and Ensch pulling in as well. So we'll watch this round of pit stops here. Let's go ahead and get the track map up there. You follow it on the right-hand side. See where all of your favorite drivers are at with just 20 laps remaining as these pit stops are underway for our final stops of the day. Lowe bringing it down into these famed pits that have seen so many of the most famous racers here. This track built in 1909. 1909. I don't even have any family members that are around that were born in 1909. But I mean, of course, they'd be so old now. But this track is still around, and it's seen those upgrades over the years. Of course, eventually NASCAR getting to race here, Formula One racing here, and now IndyCar doing 2 races here a year. For the Grand Prix, which follows on the road course. And speaking of which, that has been updated on iRacing as well. And there is a brand new scan of the Indianapolis Oval Circuit as well. So this driver's really getting a treat for the hollow ground of IndyCar here, the crown jewel, getting to race on the newest of the new scans. And that's all part of the treat of being on iRacing. So just a great thing to race on iRacing. But there you see Jason Lowe shown a lap down. And I am not really sure why that is. it does appear as though Lowe had to spend some extra time in the pits. So unfortunate for him, because that does take him really out of that second position. I'll try to find more information out here as we go forward. But Dominic Harte in the lead, David Stritt in second, now Dan Ensch into that third spot, and he is not very far away. So, you know, Ensch getting a new steering setup, and all of a sudden finding some great pace here at the end of the season. And now we've got, note that Ryan Bowles is in the pits, and he also is starting to fall down through the order. So Bowles with that new livery trying to get some new juju going, and unfortunately I don't think it's going to pay off today, but we'll find out. Dominic Harte leads it with just 17 laps to go, and my goodness, isn't that kind of what he did just a couple of seasons ago, when all of a sudden there was a new name on the scene, and it was Dominic Harte looking to take victory. So with David Stritt in tow and Dan Ensch just behind, why don't we go ahead and spend a few laps just listening to the beautiful song of the Dallara IR-18 IndyCars. Sorry that I have to cut in, because it's just so much fun to listen, and just I almost wish I don't have to do commentary sometimes and just have the beautiful sounds of the cars. But I got to tell you what's going on, and this battle is raging here for 5th place. I think everybody wants that top 5. You got Howard Livingston, Rick Lovison, and MJ Ramirez all right there within close distance. Mike West is actually a couple of seconds back from this group. But all three of these drivers trying to battle it out for first. And up here in this lead group, we've got all three of these drivers very, very close together. Just 0.7 of a second separate Harte back to Dan Ensch. And just 12 laps remaining. So if Stritt And Ensch want to try to take a shot at this victory here today. They're going to have to start thinking about how they want to get it done. Easier said than done here at a track like this, where there's definitely a lot of strategy to just figure out how to be able to pull off a move on your fellow competitors, even though you've got that great draft that is going for you on your side. You still have to manage to find a way to sneak that car by. But Harte doing what it takes here so far. David Strid running in second place. Dan Ensch currently in third. And then it's Graham Bunyan, your 6-time champion, up there out of Brisbane, Australia, currently running in that 4th position. Howard Livingston for the Care Camps Coconut Castaways, sitting back there in 5th place. He's managed to salvage a pretty decent race out of this one, and he's had to get by his good friend Rick Lovison there, who has been a regular competitor in the league for some time. But Rick also having a very good race here today. He was running up there in the top 3 for a bit. Now currently running in 6th place. Mauro Ramirez, MJ, in 7th. He's gained 9 spots. Rick's gained 6, so really quite phenomenal stuff. But MJ Ramirez there in 7th place, and not a bad run for the new president of the International IndyCar League. Mike West, 7 positions gained, currently running in that 8th spot, trying to chase down those others who are up in front, but kind of quickly running out of laps to do it. Here's Ryan Bowles. He was running so well just earlier on. Unfortunately, we didn't have any sort of notes. In fact, you know what? We can... Is this... No, he did enter the pits. I'm just going to say it's very possible that he had a speeding penalty. Let's take a look here really quick at when Ryan pitted from P1. This was him coming into the pits. So it looked really close. I really couldn't tell you what cost him all of that time, but he did slide back from P1 and now currently shown in 9th place. And speaking of difficulty, again, something that happened off camera, not really sure what caused it, but Jason Lowe having difficulty and sliding all the way back to 10th spot. So unfortunate for him here at the season finale. Once again, it doesn't really matter too much. I think he'll take 2nd place without even having to break a sweat here today in the championship. But nevertheless, those victories have kind of been elusive, certainly on the back half of the season for Lowe. And I think that is something that he's going to try to refocus on for season 17, is just doesn't have to be the president anymore. Doesn't have to field any of those driver inquiries or, you know, competition issues or any of that kind of stuff. But you look just a little bit further back, hey, it's Strid and Harte. It's just 6 laps to go, and this battle isn't done yet. Strid, Harte, and Ensch all running together, and Strid managing to get by Dominic Harte into, I believe that was into turn 1. Here's a look back at that pass. There it was, into turn 1. So Strid saying, no, I want to take that position. I want to hold it for the end, and you'll have to get by me. Of course, as the great Matt Kingsbury, who used to commentate with me in that first season of coverage here. Oh, and here we've got a pass by Dan Ensch, who's now trying to get by. He moves it down to the inside in turn 1. Can Ensch get by? No, he can't. He'll back out of that pass, but he lets Harte know that he's right there. So perhaps Harte now falling off the pace a little bit from Strid's speed. And it looks like he's falling right into the claws of a hard-charging Dan Ensch. Ensch easing the car through the corners, trying to get another chance to make a lunge at Dominic Harte. and try and steal that second position away, continuing to try to raise that awareness to end ALZ. And, you know, Dan has really taken it upon himself. He's bringing that ALZ awareness. He's like, I think it's official that he has the support of the Alzheimer's Association. Originally, you know, a lot of these drivers just making contributions and bringing signage just to support causes that they do want to support and bring awareness to, but Ensch actually working with Alzheimer's Association and in other leagues that he runs in, actually bringing awareness there as well. So really cool stuff from, you know, a very concerned human being who wants to be able to just raise awareness and hopefully raise some funding, be able to end Alzheimer's. As somebody who has a father who's kind of suffering with a lot of different issues at the moment, I really appreciate what Dan is doing out there to try to help those who are suffering and their loved ones. And of course, we don't have to go very far back. You know, Graham Bunyan also supporting a great cause this season, although he doesn't race with it every week on his side pod. And great to have Graham as well as Howard Livingston just coming forward here and bringing, of course, that awareness towards the care camps. For Graham Bunyan, it was the Camp Quality, which is down in Australia, where there's certainly a lot of love and care going on there as well. So great chances for these drivers to raise awareness. And once again, if you're interested in doing that and contributing to the overall broadcast fund, we'd love to have you do so. Barney the Flagman about to give that final wave of the white flag. And there he is. One more lap remains for David Strid, who kind of fell back a little bit just earlier, but doesn't look like it's going to be anybody other than Strid here who is going to take his 6th victory of the season en route to his very first championship here in the International IndyCar League. And all eyes are on David Strid as he comes down the front stretch for the final time here at the Brickyard. He'll weave back and forth, and as he goes across the start-finish line, that Brickyard right there, it is David Strid who takes the victory and claims his very first championship in the International IndyCar League. Congratulations. So first place going to David Strid, second to very hard-charging Dominic Harte, who gained 2 spots en route to that second place. Third to Dan Ensch in the ALZ.org Glass Lab Motorsports machine. So great to have these competitors. And of course, I don't mean to leave out Dominic Harte. Harte also doing a great job of raising awareness for the Cancer Research UK 180. Harte into the back of Strid. I don't think he knew that Strid was going to slow as much as he did. And Strid's beautiful machine now damaged. Usually he saves that for after his celebrations are done. But hopefully Strid will make his way down and we'll get some donuts still, I'm sure. Kind of livid though, I'm sure. But Harte will finish up his race and bring it in. And stay tuned here. We're just about to have post-race discussion with several of the drivers in our post-race carecamps.org victory circle. And there you can see Dominic Harte celebrating a second place here, even if things didn't quite go to plan afterwards. Let's go ahead and get the final running order up there, and then we'll get to some of these post-race interviews here momentarily as drivers start to check in with us. So, you can see it there on your screen. David Strid taking victory at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the final race of season 16 for the International IndyCar League. Second place to Dominic Harte, third to Dan Ensch, fourth to Graham Bunyan, fifth to Howard Livingston, sixth to Rick Lovison. Great run for him today. Howard, of course, the sponsor favorite, taking a top 5 and really continuing that consistency. A great kind of recovery despite his incident that he had with Graham Bunyan. Bunyan also really heads up getting into the pits, circulating the whole rest of the lap and then getting into the pits and able to get repaired. As a result, taking that 4th position. That's why he's the champ. Unfortunately, he'll lose that championship title, but be so glad to give it over to David Strid. Just behind, MJ Ramirez comes from the back of the pack to take 7th place. Good run for him, although I'm sure he'll look forward to many more top 5s and podium positions next season. Ryan Bowles, what could have been today, he was up there in the lead. He had things running really well, and this just seems to be, I don't want to say it's more of the same. We'll hope for better for Ryan for next season, but just seems to be a little snake bit some of these races where he runs so great at the start and then just doesn't quite end up there at the end. Mike West in 9th place. 10th going to Jason Lowe. Once again, he had another fantastic race going at the very front and a couple brushes with the wall, and we didn't really see what caused that final one, but unfortunately, his final race as the president of the International IndyCar League, as he now steps down, hands over that torch to MJ Ramirez. Jasper Van Linden making another appearance here today. Great to have him in the field. 11th place. 12th going to Jimmy Drinnan. 13th, Manuel Gomez Esteban for Team Mazinger. 14th going to Robert Barnicow. 15th to the new Team Mazinger driver to show up on broadcast today, Angel Ponce. Great to have him with us. David Worrell, really kind of difficult day parking that machine. Beautiful new livery. Will Stearns in 17th, and Mr. Stickwick rounds it out in 18th position. So with that, now we'll get a chance to see who we can snag for a little post-race discussion. Let's go ahead and see if we can talk to let's see if we can get Howard Livingston in here. And hey, Howard, do you have a copy on me? Hey, Howard, Trevor Greenfield here. You got a copy? Perhaps Howard kind of stepping out for a second, but we'll get him in here in just a moment for discussion, and we'll get a chance to bring up one of our other drivers here momentarily. Let's go ahead and see if we can grab good old Dan Ensch, who steps in after a fantastic race. I mean, hey, Dan, what is this? You're all of a sudden you're qualifying pole position last race. You're racing from the back and you're in 3rd place. You're looking like a front runner out there. Finally, you got the equipment that matches your skill level. Congratulations. Great podium position today for the ALZ.org Last Lap Motorsports machine.
Thanks a lot, man. Yeah, you're right. Equipment means a lot, and a lot more than I thought it did. I got a new wheel a couple of weeks ago, and I'm still not completely familiar with it yet. I still have to cheat and look down once in a while, but when I get used to this wheel, maybe I'll have a chance at that championship next year. But man, what a great race today. Very minimal yellow flags, great fuel strategies, a lot of fun at the end there racing with Dom and what's his name, the guy that won the championship. I forget. But anyway, great races by everybody involved, and I want to thank Howard. Howard had a good race too. I think he finished like 5th or something like that, but he put this shindig on for us. The care camps, quality charity. Get involved with that, and everybody chip in and help with care camps. And man, I had a ball today.
Absolutely, and we could tell that you were having fun out there, and you were running right up there at the front. It kind of looked like you had a shot at 2nd and 1st. But yeah, take us through that. So how did your race unfold today? Was it much of fuel strategy? We only had the 2 cautions. How did it play out for you, and what got you up into that 3rd spot?
No, it didn't really become a fuel strategy situation until that last yellow with about 57 to go or something like that. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to have to save a little bit here. And the good part of that was I was back up with the leaders. I fell behind a little bit right at the beginning because Will had some bad luck in the short shoot on that first fuel send out on the North Chute, and I broke draft with the leaders, so I started falling back some, and thankfully we got at least one yellow to get me back up with the pack again. And then after that last yellow, I thought, you know what, I can stretch it. And when I saw Dom and David pit before me, a couple of laps before me, I thought, oh my gosh, I got a real chance at this. I didn't think you could really do more than 21 or 22 at most, and David really stretched his fuel out and did a great job and won the race.
He did indeed, and that was where I was at. I was looking at 22 laps to do. You said it was possible, but again, if you're, I mean, that's certainly if you can save some fuel, which I think David maybe did. He kind of stuck behind Harte there for a bit of that last stint, and he knew what he was doing. He managed to get it done. So obviously, congratulations to him, but congratulations to you. Again, getting to get that end ALZ message out there. Of course, Iowa, fantastic race that we do every season, and seems to get that awareness out there as well. Just thank you so much for being such a great part of this league, Dan. You're always a great competitor, and it'll be fun to have you in season 17, potentially poking your nose up there and playing around with the likes of David Strid, Dominic Harte, Graham Bunyan, and Jason Lowe, and all the rest. Congratulations. Great season. Anybody else you want to thank before we move on?
Well, of course, I want to thank ALS.org for riding with me this year, and it is a great cause, and I hope you'll support them too. Go to ALS.org, ALZ.org. And just thank you to everybody that is a part of this league and comes out every week. You know, I'm going to have to miss a couple of weeks. I'm going to try to talk Mauro into maybe having 2 drop weeks next year, because I'm going to have to miss a couple during the holiday season. But we'll give it our best shot next week. And I want to thank all my friends and family who tune into the races to watch this fun too.
Well, we certainly appreciate that. We appreciate all you do. Good luck in season 17 and enjoy your couple of weeks off. Dan, your class act. We'll see you next season, bud.
All right, and thank you too, Trevor.
Thank you. So that's Dan Ensch reporting in from third spot. He's quite a competitor here in the league, and just great to have quality competitors like him checking in with us. Hey, Howard Livingston, do you got a copy on me? I'm not seeing Howard, unfortunately. Maybe something going on with him not being able to respond or what have you, but hopefully we'll get Howard in before the end so we can talk a little bit about care camps and what it's meant to him. It was a difficult race there today. He did have a incident with former champion Graham Bunyan, which is kind of weird to say now that it's David Strid as the champion. But let's go ahead and bring in our second place finisher, Dominic Harte. Hey, Dominic.
Yeah, I got you, man.
Oh, well, there's Howard. Okay, we might be on a little bit of a delay there, Howard. But good to have you there, Howard. Hey, let's talk a little bit about. We'll just jump right into it. How is the Care Camps organization? How has that come into your life, and what has Care Camps meant to you as today's presenting sponsor? I have a feeling like Howard is listening to our race broadcast and not necessarily listening to the Discord feed, which is where we do our interviews, because there's quite a delay here. But we'll wait for his answer. It'll come eventually. Yeah. The beauties of doing live broadcasting, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll get Howard's answer in, and then we will move on to our other competitors here in the league. But as soon as he can chime in, we will break for him. Care Camp's a great organization and really wonderful what they are doing for kids. carecamps.org, of course, their website where you can make a donation and certainly find out all that is involved. Certainly if you want to get somebody down there for the camps, there's information about that, as well as just supporting the camps themselves and individual kids. So hopefully we'll get Howard's info here momentarily. Otherwise, we will just move on to Dominic Harte. So I guess we will go ahead and do that. Dominic, for a second time, great to have you joining us. And you got a copy on me, buddy?
Yep, I can hear you there, Trevor.
Oh, there he is. So, Dominic, congratulations, second place here today. Great run for the Yellow Submarine. Talk us through your race here today, and I mean, you're just one position off. It looked like you're up there in the lead. Did you think you could hold on to first? Did you think that Strid had you beat? Talk us through the whole thing, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much a straightforward race up until that last bit, then that last pit stop, and I made the mistake. Without those last yellows, I was reckoning I was going to be able to do a short stop. I was going to just stop for fuel and no tyres. So I left my tyres untipped, and then of course we had the yellows, so that sort of blew everything out of the window, and I forgot to tip my tyres again. So I got the fuel in. I had plenty of fuel. I had about another lap left when I finished, so I was better than the other two, but I had no tyres, so I couldn't really do much about David.
So no tires left, and David had saved enough fuel. Unfortunately, he didn't get that infamous last lap. He's out of fuel, and you cruise on to the victory. But still, it's been an up and down season. Lots of flashes of speed and some podium positions, but still not really able to pick up, besides one race this season that you were able to take victory, not able to pick up where you left off with your debut here. What do you think it's going to take to come after the likes of David Strid? And now we'll have Graham Bunyan back in the field. We'll have Jason Lowe. What does it take to be able to pass these guys and be able to hold on and get that victory here in the International IndyCar League?
It's just consistency, really. That's still what's lacking. I think I'm quick enough, pretty much there. I mean, I've still got a bit to go to some of them, but yeah, it's just consistency. I had a bit of I wasn't well for a few races during the middle, so that sort of dropped me down a bit, and I didn't have a couple of good performances. So it is what it is. Everybody's the same.
Sure, and everybody, I mean, multiple drivers having their own issues this season and kind of taking them out of some of the races. It's just so difficult to get into that zone and also have your real life responsibilities aligned to the point where you could do that. You were just traveling abroad as well, so you were gone for several days, and imagine you might have some jet lag, but that's probably passed by now. But the world traveler, I mean, you still got stuff to do in real life. So it's just great that, you're able to come back and join us each and every week. You'll be with us in season 17, I'm sure, right?
Yep, I'll be there. Yeah, hopefully things, I've got a bit more traveling coming up. I wish it was for a few days. That last trip was only there and back in in one day.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That is incredible.
Things we do for work. Yeah, I've got possibly a few more of those coming up, but hopefully they're just during the week, and they don't interfere with my weekend, so should be good for next season.
Well, Dominic, unfortunately, I'm looking at the points, and you were in the running to get that third position in the championship, but Graham Bunyan, despite having one less start than everyone else, or actually a couple less starts, but one with the drop week, managed to snag that third spot from you by just 1 point in that championship. Thank you to whoever updated the points. But, I mean, you're just that close. I really think in season 17, we could see you up there in the top 3 in the championship. And certainly, I think you got the speed for a bunch more wins and pole position. So good luck. Anybody else that you want to thank before we move on?
Just obviously thank you to yourself for broadcasts every week, and thank you for all the sponsors during the season, and obviously Care Campus for this race. I believe Howard's back,
and we'll try to snag Howard in there. And obviously thank you so much, Dominic, bringing us the Cancer Research UK 180 earlier in the season. So hey, great job this season. We'll see you next season. Get some good sleep, some good rest, and we'll catch you for season 17, bud. Good luck.
Thank you, and you too.
So that's Dominic Harte, fantastic racer, bringing one of those iconic liveries back into the mix here. And he's done so many. I mean, we had the Hesketh F1 livery. We've had quite a few, and now we've got this one as well, iconic here at Indy. So we've got Howard Livingston back, though. We'll get a chance to talk with him. Hey, Howard, can you hear me? And he's back, but he's not back. So unfortunately, we're not catching him. We'll try to hang on here just in case. Hey, Howard, if you can hear me, just talk about the Care Camps organization and what they mean to you. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and wrap up this broadcast. And it has been an absolutely fantastic one. Of course, your winner here with a pass. Let's just go ahead and see if we can see that pass here. Let's flashback. This was just the pass for the win and the championship right here. You saw it live on VirtualRacing.Network. David Strid making the pass on Dominic Harte into turn 1. There was really nothing Harte could do about it with just some laps to go. And looking out the back of the car, it's the last time that he would see a challenge from Dominic Harte. David Strid taking victory here in the International IndyCar League for the 6th time, winning half of the races and taking championship for the first time. Congratulations to champion David Strid and race winner David Strid. Of course, this was the Care Camps 250. So fantastic to have you here on VirtualRacing.Network as we bring this season to a final close. We're very proud of the fact that we will get a chance to bring you season 17 live here on VirtualRacing.Network, so stay tuned for that. If you're not already a subscriber here on VirtualRacing.Network, make sure to hit that big subscribe button, and you'll get all of our races put right into your email inbox, on your browser, everywhere. You'll get a chance to be notified. And, of course, make sure that you hit the like button. You'll get more of our races in your feed and get a chance to spread us around the interwebs a little bit as well. You can feel free to share this race with anybody. So until 2 weeks from now, I'm Trevor Greenfield, and on behalf of all of the International IndyCar League, it's been great having you with us here this season. Have a wonderful, restful holiday season, and we hope to see you again here, right here on VirtualRacing.Network. Bye-bye, everyone.